Thank you, Senator. Now we have Senator Risch.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman. I don't always agree with Senator King, but today I find myself in absolute agreement with him that he came here today unburdened by any understanding of the hard rock industry. Let me try to put this in simple terms. This isn't oil we're talking about. When you take a barrel of oil out of the ground, you got it, you can sell it. First of all, not all minerals are the same. They're all very different. Whether it's gold, whether it's silver, whether it's antimony, whatever you're after is very different. The cost of getting it out of the ground varies dramatically, and it depends on how deep it is. It depends what it's in combination with in the ground. And so it isn't that simple. And as was pointed out here, when you do get it out of the ground, it may be just the beginning. You don't get a lump of gold out of the ground in most instances. You get it mixed with something else. So you may not even keep it. You may sell the thing because it has to be milled and extricated very carefully. So it just isn't the same as that. There are other ways of doing this. Now, I'm not saying it's impossible. I'm just saying that there are other ways to measure it. Then it isn't comparable. You're talking about apples and oranges if you're talking about getting a barrel of oil out of the ground versus a gram of whatever mineral it is that you're after. So before I cede any more of my time, let me say, first of all, there's been a lot of talk here about dollars and cents, and I want to ask Ms. Sweeney and Mr. Brown if you agree with me that in today's world, market forces change the price of commodities very, very quickly, unlike years and years ago, so that if we do add an additional cost to this, that is going to affect our competitiveness in the market almost immediately. Would you agree or disagree with that?
Agree.
Mr. Brown?
I would agree as well.
Let me say we have an expert on this panel who knows how to resolve complex issues like this. Chris, welcome. Chris Wood and I worked together when I was governor to resolve the roadless issue in Idaho, and we have, I know Colorado claims to have one, but we have essentially the only roadless rule that has been sustained in district court and in the Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals, believe it or not. And Chris and I worked together on that. Thank you, Chris, on behalf of the people of Idaho. Thank you, and thank Trout Unlimited for your input into that. It was very difficult to get the environmental community on board, and very few of them didn't get on board eventually, and the ones that didn't feel too good about it after the fact, after the Ninth Circuit, because everybody that was at the table got something. Chris, in that regard, you and I have been talking about this particular issue since I got here. How come you haven't got it resolved?
Well, first of all, thank you for your leadership on the Idaho roadless rule. I think it's a model for a lot of other natural resource issues around the country where you brought industry and conservation interests together and we came out with a solution. I think that it's right here for us on this issue too. The other thing I want to commend you for, sir, is your leadership on Good Samaritan legislation. You and Senator Heinrich have both been working hard to bring industry and conservation interests together to figure out how to incent more cleanups of abandoned mines around the country.
Thanks, Chris. Let me, I've just got a little bit of time left, but I want to underscore a really, really important issue that has been alluded to here, but I think needs even a harder smack than what we've talked about here. From my position on the Intelligence Committee and on the Foreign Relations Committee, I can tell you that the issue of rare earths and critical minerals is an issue that does not get the attention that it needs in this country. And I can tell you that we're going to have to focus on that. Anybody who thinks that China is going to continue to sell us these critical elements, if and when we ever get crosswise with them to a large degree, is dreaming. And if you don't believe me, ask Japan, because they have cut off Japan one time for a very brief period of time, but it brought industry in Japan to its knees in short order. So in any event, jump ball. Who can tell us what we can do better to try to get rare earths and critical minerals out of the ground in the United States of America, which is indeed a very, very important national security issue? Who's first? There's a lot of smart people here.
Senator, I'll jump in, even though I'm a gold miner. Like Senator Hickenlooper, I was once a geologist, and The important part of the mining law is this right of self-initiation. And we talked about it in a couple of contexts here that are important. And the first one I would say is that, Chairman Manchin said this at the beginning, we don't have all the critical minerals. As a geologist, I'm a little more optimistic. I say we haven't found them yet. So we have to have a healthy industry that is exploring, and rational and reasonable mining law reform is an important part of that. I think that, you know, the second thing I would say is that the issue comes up of, you know, why can't you say no to a mine? Or the argument is made that way. The one thing I would point out is we have land use planning, and it's part of the Federal Land Management Policy and Management Act, and it is an amendment to the mining law that came into being in the 1970s. And so there are big swaths of the United States, and Nevada, in Nevada's case, 85% of that federal land, 25% of that is not available for mine exploration. And so what I think is important to understand is that when you find a mineral, you find it where you find it, and you find it on the land that is available. If there are areas that are important to protect, we should protect those through the land use process. But other than that, we should be encouraging exploration everywhere. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Haddock. And I want to yield my unused time to Senator King to respond.
We've lost total control of this committee.
Yes, you have. No, I want to emphasize that the senator is absolutely right about the national security implications, and I'm not unmindful of those at all. I just want to be fair to the people that own the land that's being mined, which is all of the American people.
Fair enough.
Senator Kelly,
Fair point.
you're up.